Hi, this is Amir Anzor. I am on the Great Minds podcast with Teresa Papadopoulos, who is an entrepreneur based in San Francisco or the Oakland, San Francisco area, Bay
Bay
Area.
Area, yeah.
And basically, she's a great entrepreneur who's been doing it for 19 years now, and she runs Breakthrough Wellness. And she helps people with anxiety and stress, and basically it's an energy healer as well. So Teresa, just start us on how did you start up as an entrepreneur?
Hi, thank you so much, Amir. It's nice to be here. I appreciate your offer. Um, yeah, I guess I can start with the beginning. I am is originated from kind of like a hybrid person. I grew up in Belgium. I'm half Greek, half American, and for me, a lot of my sort of origin story came through from like trying to find my identity. Like, where did I belong? Oftentimes I would find myself in situations where I was like, I don't quite belong here. I'm not quite from this country, or I don't necessarily speak that language, but I get along, right? And I'm able to adapt and be a bit of a chameleon. And that was sort of like a consistent theme most of my life. And it's a virtue, but at the same time, it's also like a trauma response, right? It's a healing mechanism to keep me safe. And in my 20s, I was living in London, where obviously we met each other there. And I was really dedicated to getting my publishing degree. So I got my publishing degree. I really wanted to work with the magazines. I wanted to have my own magazine. I had these big lofty dreams. This was all before like the big digital shift came forward back in like the early 2000s. Um, and so I did. I worked for the Daily Mail and the Evening Standard, and I was on Fleet Street, and it was really epic and super cool. And um, I just started recognizing that I wasn't really paying attention to my body, and what the result was that I was really dealing with a lot of like health issues, getting sick often for about a month or so at a time, especially around the fall, and eventually was diagnosed with cervical cancer. And so that was my big wake up call to just sort of pause and reconsider how I'm living my life. Um, you know, Coping with all that stress and all that anxiety and all that sort of like go, 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 go lifestyle with, caffeine in the morning, alcohol at night, and just like go, go, go all the time, not paying attention. And that's when I also was gifted a beautiful session of a Reiki healing session by a dear friend of mine for my birthday, and I was like blown away by this experience. And I knew then that that's what I wanted to learn. I wanted to become a practitioner of this. I wanted to figure out how this worked. And I was in love with it. Changed the trajectory of my life. So after getting clear of the cancer and moving to Hawaii, I got this beautiful opportunity to move to Hawaii. That's when things started to really shift. I became a massage therapist. I worked on a boat, whale watching tours. I did a whole bunch of really amazing things that I don't regret at all. And I never really looked back into the publishing world. I just knew that that was not going to be the lifestyle that would give me the type of energy and the type of sort of aligned action that I needed to stay healthy and to stay vibrant and to really achieve the goals that I was looking for at the time. Yeah.
So what's Reiki? What is Reiki for people that don't know? How popular is it as well?
Yeah, Reiki is really popular these days. It's often kind of confused with other things, but it originated in Japan. It is a hands-on healing modality. It's the first thing I learned before I started diving into meditation and yoga and manual therapies and things like that. And it's a beautiful way to help support yourself, one's self, to find their healing from the inside. And I think that that also comes through in the current work that I do. And ultimately, my goal with my clients and with everybody that I work with is to help support them find their inner intrinsic motivations for why they want to achieve whatever goals they are, whether it's weight loss or stress management or anything like that. So Reiki is also ultimately a hands-on modality, therapeutic modality. You can do it on yourself, you can do it on others, and you can even do it through distance. So it's beautiful.
So you touched someone just with your hands?
Yeah, you don't necessarily actually even have to put your hands on them. You can even just have your hands above. A lot of the times I kind of put my hands around their face, around their body, just sort of just about an inch or two above their body. But if they're comfortable and I have permission, we just gentle hands-on sort of touch. Yeah.
And what kind of things is it for, like, I don't know, bad back or just to feel better?
Yeah, so ultimately, you're probably familiar with like the chakra system, right? There's all
Not so
these
much.
7 meridians,
Okay.
7 chakras that we have in our body from, above our head all the way down to our solar plexus and our groin area. And they are attributed to different colors and they have different energetic sort of vibrations and frequencies. And I know that sounds woo woo, but it's ultimately a way for humans to like look inwards, to reflect inwards on where it is in their body that they're feeling imbalanced. And it could be like a physical organ that is imbalanced, like say a kidney or a stomach or a lung that feels imbalanced, or it could be something like, for example, I don't feel like I'm being heard, or I don't feel like it's safe for me to speak my voice. So then my throat feels stuck and imbalanced. It's really great for like public speaking, for example. I've had people come in who've had cancer, who've wanted to have some support in really helping with their anxiety and their stress around, dealing with their own diagnoses. And it's really beautiful because most of the time people walk away just feeling very serene, very balanced, and very calm. So it's a way to unblock any stuck energy in the body that feels sort of unsafe or like it's keeping you in loops. And it can often have effects on the physical body as well. So helping the body heal faster, helping things kind of move along better in a more sort of healing, smooth way. Yeah.
And do your clients tend to come like weekly, or is it like a long-term treatment, or is it like one-off?
Well, for Reiki, I don't necessarily offer it as a standalone anymore. That was the first kind of segue modality that I learned 20 years ago when I was a baby practitioner.
Right.
And since then, I include it in my deep tissue therapeutic massage work, and then back in 2015, which I didn't include in my origin story, I became a certified holistic wellness coach, also, so health and wellness coach, with my master's from the California Institute of Integral Studies. And from there, I've supported people with losing weight and managing their stress, but through coaching. And so the trajectory of my career has gone from like hands-on to more coaching. And in my coaching currently, I use somatics, which is using the body, like working with the body. So soma means body in Greek. And that it also includes energy work and it also includes manual therapy. Again, kind of circling all the way back to the origin story, it's all about helping people pay more attention to what their body is saying to them. And that includes nervous system support, right? So when we're stressed out and we're anxious and we're worried about things and we're caught in our head, we're looping stories that we make up. That's often a trauma response based on something that may have happened last week or 20 years ago. And it's not until we take time to really approach those feelings or those thoughts and attach them to the sensations in our body, because our feelings are not the same as our sensations, right? We have a sensation of maybe like tightness in our gut. And sometimes we attribute it and say, oh, that means that I'm feeling XYZ. However, it's not necessarily that. Our sensations aren't feelings, right? Our sensations are just triggers. They're alarms ultimately, right? They're very subtle, but they're alarms trying to let us know and wake us up to a need or an unmet need that we need to pay attention to and give awareness to.
So you help people lose weight, for instance, right? One of the
I have, yes.
outcomes. Typically, is it like through therapy? And what are typical issues of why they have weight? And what's a successful case study, if you like, of you helping someone resolve their issues that and then they lost the weight?
Yeah. Yeah. So with weight loss, it's twofold, right? There's the outside in approach, right? And that's the tell me what to eat, tell me what to exercise, how often, and like make sure to hold me accountable, which is like your traditional health and wellness coaching, right? Most health and wellness coaches are there using something called motivational interviewing to really elicit the internal motivation for why these people have the desire to either lose the weight or whatever that looks like. And that can often look like checking in once a week, texting, just inspiring and encouraging, as well as giving them actual concrete steps to get there. And the piece that is missing that I find that I've discovered more recently in the last few years is the inside out approach, which is really addressing the unresolved trauma and unresolved unconscious limiting beliefs that are really keeping people unable to actually achieve those goals. So I've achieved lots of success in helping people lose weight, but then there's always that percentage of people that just can't get to the next level. Oftentimes, it's like a partner or a spouse that says, "Oh, you're never going to lose the weight. Oh, this is just not who you are. This isn't you," right? Because this is somebody else's voice, just sort of permeating into the psyche of the person that's like trying to shift and change who they are. And if they don't believe that they're capable of being who they want to be or shifting to the next level of elevation of their life, then it will be that much more difficult for them to actually move through it. And so the work that I do that I love working on now is an amalgamation of all of those previous trainings and really helping people feel safe in their body so that they can listen to the little subtle nuances of, am I hungry? Am I not hungry? Am I happy? Am I not happy? What do I need right now? Do I need a hug? Right? Do I need to get outside and get some sunshine? What's going on for me that I'm not paying attention to that needs voice right now so that I can really actually step into that next level of my life that I'm looking for?
So people might have limiting beliefs about weight loss. What are some of those limiting beliefs? Is it like, what like I can't do it. I'm always hungry. What are those limiting beliefs that
Yeah,
people?
no, I mean, there's so many different people in the world, right? And there's so many different stories. Oftentimes we're just not made to feel safe in the body that we have, right? A lot of the times we have external visuals, society, right? We're looking at advertisements all day and commercials and movies and all that sort of thing. And so we have this like idea that we have to look or sound or feel a certain way. Some people are born into thicker bodies, some people are born into thinner bodies, right? And that's just how you're made. So it just needs to be okay for you to be who you are ultimately. Like that's the first thing. So one of the biggest things is I'm not good enough or I'm not allowed to or I don't deserve this, right? Oftentimes, if you've had a parent who was really judgmental about their own weight or their own body image and they wanted their children to look a certain way, those types of stories, the way that their parents speak to them keep running through their head, and keep them stuck. I had a client once who she hired a health coach to help her lose weight, and she ended up really resisting working with this woman. She wasn't able to lose the weight. She made it mean that she wasn't successful, right? She made it mean that she's not capable of doing this. And what we came to together was we realized that there was a dot that was connecting her to her stepmother. right? Who, when she was younger, would speak to her in a similar, like with similarities that this health coach was speaking, right? And so ultimately, this health coach who she hired was magnetized to her because of her familiarity with her energy, right? Because we have energetic familiarity with people and sounds and smells and things, and we're comforted by those. So we're kind of manifest what we attract, right? In that way. So she attracted this health coach because it felt familiar, but then she realized, through working with me that like, oh, this didn't work, not because I'm not capable of it or I don't deserve it, but because she reminded me of my stepmom who I hated, who said all those horrible things about me, right?
Yeah. I mean,
So, yeah.
it's frankly, it's weird. I'm 46 years old, and I have friends in their 30s and 40s and 50s. And the amount of impact their parents' voice, even at these ages,
Yep.
still has, right? Like they have, like,
100%.
women that in their teenage, their mother was strict on them, or even younger, that they were getting too big. And so like that voice is that nagging critical voice is still in their
Yeah.
head. And how can people do that? I mean, because our parents, we left our houses when we were 18.
Yeah.
Some of us, our parents are still alive. Yes, we can talk to them, but even when they pass away, a lot of the voice sticks in
Yes.
their head. And you read about your program from the age of 0 to 7. Is there ways to
Yeah.
deprogram yourself?
Absolutely. 100%. Yeah. And like I said, I'm not primarily focusing on weight loss right now. I focus on ultimately helping women who are struggling with this inner critic, whether it often looks like being snappy with your partner, right? Yelling at your kids, saying yes too often, right? And then getting annoyed and frustrated that you don't have enough time, not making time for yourself, right? Not going to spend time with your friends, not going to get that massage or whatever that is that you need for your inner sort of sustenance. And so they kind of come to me with this like, I am frustrated and I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired and I need help. And ultimately, you can reparent yourself at any age as long as you're open and willing to actually go there and do that work. And it can look a lot like taking time to connect with your inner child. It looks like having a facilitated parts work session with your coach, right? And there are other ways, for example, somatically, where you release the feelings, right? You have to feel in order to heal. Most adults are running away from their feelings. Most of the adults are they're like shiny object. The carrot is over there. I'm ticking off all my boxes. I've done all the things. And now what? It's still over there. So why am I not feeling the way I want to feel? And that's through that unresolved stuff that we're running away from childhood and all those voices that keep telling us who we are and how we should be. Yeah.
And do we remember necessarily what happened in our childhood that did it? Like, for instance, a lot of my childhood, I don't remember. I don't like, I have another friend, and she's like, I did this at 4 years old and this at 5. And I
Yeah.
don't remember a lot of my childhood. Do
Yeah.
do your clients like need reminding, and do they go into their subconscious and then they
Yes.
end up remembering their childhood? How does that work?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's not like we're sitting down and sometimes people come to me with a specific thing. They're like, "Whoa, I just had this memory that came up and it's really like, having an impact on me," or this is like a recurring memory in my life that I just can't let go of. That's one way to approach it, right? There's this one thing that happened at this one time that I'm ready to let go of, or that, keeps running through my head. And then sometimes it's just a feeling, right? Sometimes it's like this woman that was like, I have this feeling, I just can't, I just like, I want to figure out about my body image. I've always had these issues. What she realized, she had a repressed memory of when she was sexually assaulted in her 20s. right? And so part of that ran into her story of, I'm not beautiful, I'm not good enough, right? I don't deserve respect and love. And so what we did was a beautiful process of how helping her to not relive the trauma. The point is to never relive the trauma. You don't have to actually go back and relive it. Sometimes it comes up in images or sounds or visuals. The point is to be able to move through the feeling of that whatever that happened at that time, so that you can actually get it out of your system. And so what we did, which is really awesome, is we had a nice boxing session, right? A virtual sort of like boxing session where she was able to say what she needed to say, get the energy out of her fists, out of her body, out of her hands, and really release that somatically through her body, so that there was more room in her psyche, in her energy, to actually bring in the good stuff that she was hoping for. Yeah, it was huge.
Wow. So she was able to, she didn't remember that memory until she started doing the work. And then
Yeah.
she found a way to deal with it, even though that memory happened in her 20s and
Yes.
she'd blocked it out, as it were, but it
Yes.
was still in her subconscious. And
Yeah.
then she was able to get rid of it. And
Absolutely. Yeah. You have to remember we're always doing this in a safe container, right? There's never the option to just sort of like go and, do some of this deeper work without feeling like it's a safe space. That's the number one priority. Um, and maybe after you've done it a couple of times, in a safe space, or you feel like you understand how it works, then it becomes easier to just do this as a part of your routine. Like make a date with your anger. When you notice the anger coming up, make a date with it. Maybe right now is not the appropriate time. Maybe lashing out at these people in front of me, maybe not the right thing to do.
yeah.
But I can always tell myself, I'm having a feeling. I'll speak to you later at 6 o'clock tonight. We're going to go, in the bedroom and have a nice little thrash session with our pillows and just get that energy out of the body. That's one small example.
And what can we say to like friends that are stuck, with their parents, or like they're, I don't know, having an issue with their mother, for instance.
Mhm.
And what can we say that like get over it? Like, because it's so
Mhm.
easy, especially when we're mentoring or coaching other people, that we're like, oh,
Yeah.
just get over it. But when it's ourselves, like if it's me and dealing with my parental voice, it's so
Yeah.
difficult to get rid of, right? Like I
Yeah.
have my father's critic, not just nothing severe or anything, but like I
Yeah.
have his voice, and he's
Right.
just telling me to look out, but I'm like, oh my God, like there's that thing that keeps me back, that fear that comes in.
Yeah. 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 Absolutely. I think that there's not really a get over it per se. It's really because get over it implies like kind of run away from it, right? Like put it over there and leave it alone. Whereas what I do and where I see the biggest transformation with my clients is when that's a signal that you're having an unmet need, right? There's something inside of your body that is triggering this sense that like I can't get over it. So I need to look at it. But like I said before, 99% of most people like run away from them. They're like, over here, shiny, shiny thing. And they're like, I don't want to look at that thing right there. And so what you need to do is be okay with turning around and having a conversation with that and really going deeper so that you
And
can figure out what it means.
when you saying shiny thing, is that like a promotion or losing weight, or what's that shiny thing that they look at?
It could be anything. I mean, a lot of people distract themselves from their feelings
Is that like
with
food and smoking and
food,
drinking?
alcohol, drugs, whatever that is, scrolling, television, binge watching, all that stuff. That's all a distraction, right? That's all distraction. And we become dissociated from our body and our feelings because we're afraid to die ultimately. Like we're afraid that like if we look at the feeling, we're going to die. That's the base feeling underneath all of it, right? And so once we can create that safety in our body, let our body know that we're going to be safe, we got this, we're cool, then you can look at that scary thing or that annoying thing or whatever that frustrating thing is, find out what it needs, shift the conversation, give it a better job, and then move forward.
So even from having like a critical voice from a parent, for instance,
Yeah,
or a spouse, you think you can die. It
absolutely.
gets that extreme in your body.
Well, that's what ultimately comes through for a lot of people is like they're the feeling behind the feeling,
Mhm.
right? The feelings at the base layer, and we're humans and we're very evolved, but we're also animals. You know, we have reptilian brains trying to keep us alive and survive. Our nervous system is here to keep us alive and help us survive, and that's why we have flight or flight, fight or flight or fawn, right? As our responses. So if you're in a nervous system response of survival and your dad's voice put you in survival mode and you were bracing because you were afraid of who knows what, whether it was a smack in the face or a critical judgment or taking something away from you or whatever it was, your body knows that that feeling is fear. And so you have to shift the narrative so that when you hear that, you can change that so that your body doesn't feel so alerted, so to speak.
Wow. So you work one-on-one with patients mostly, right? Like
Yeah.
over Zoom or in person, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
And do you find trends with, let's say, Americans and Europeans or demographics, or do you think like people are people, they have similar traumas that they're dealing with? Or I don't know, is there like difference between men and women, the way they
Mhm.
handle it? Are there demographic factors that deal with traumas in your experience?
I think I wouldn't want to call it a demographic per se, because obviously somebody who's living in a war-torn country is going to have way bigger traumas than somebody who's never had to go through war before, right? That's like big T and little t. They're both still trauma. They're both still workable, but they just need more time or less time, right? The amount of sensitivity and time differs for each person. As far as like male female, there is a masculine and a feminine energetic that comes forward, right? There's this polarity of opposites that comes forward. It's not to say that anyone is better or worse or easier or more difficult. It's just a different energy. And men have to deal with what they have to deal with just the way that women have to deal with what they have to deal with, right? And so when you approach it as a coach, just understanding these subtle nuances and differences, then there's always space for everybody, right? There's always a way for everybody to tap back into that little boy or that little girl, you know, reparent themselves, give them permission to really feel their feelings. Because we're all ultimately just little kids walking around in grown up outfits. And how many people in their 90s at their deathbed, they're like, I still feel like I'm 15, you know? Because our brain doesn't age per se, it's just our body.
Yeah.
So when we connect our brain and our body together, we become a more holistic unit.
Wow.
Yeah.
And do you you're an entrepreneur, right? So you started coaching and you do Reiki, and then you bring in different elements of these therapies that you learn, and
Matters. Yeah.
you then have made Teresa coaching, which is like your unique aspect. I'm assuming all coaches are unique in their own way because of their life experience, their education, all that sort of stuff, right? So like,
Yeah.
how have you found that journey as an entrepreneur to being a coach? And then you not only do you have to heal clients, but you also have to go out and attract clients, right? Like
Mhm.
how do you find that aspect of the business?
Well, number 1, I don't have to heal clients. Number 2, I don't heal them.
Okay.
I don't have to because I want to, and it's an honor, and it's my life's purpose. I have found that through my own pain and my own suffering and my own frailty and just humanness that my superpower is in creating safe spaces and really helping people unfold and feel seen and safe to just be who they are. And I think if we have more people who could just really feel safe in being who they are, there'd be a lot less problems in the world.
Mhm.
um, and as far as being an entrepreneur, it's always shifting, it's always changing. It's not like a perfect fine line. You know, there's always, as you know, in the digital world, right? There's always some new thing coming out, and there's some new way of doing things. And one minute it's Chat GPT, and then it's, you know, Twitter, or now it's X or whatever. So I think ultimately, as an entrepreneur, what I've learned is the most important thing is to just provide your clients the most loving and safe and valuable experience that you can, so that they have the biggest ahas, the biggest transformations, and they feel safe doing that. And then everything else kind of happens from there. Um, I don't have one true marketing strategy or anything like that. For me, it's always been referrals or word of mouth. And, now I'm getting more involved in social media and digital marketing and, email lists and all that good stuff. But that's more, back end. I think being an entrepreneur is more about just embodying your work and being what you say you are, providing and living it.
What do you mean being what you are providing? Like living, like practicing what you preach?
Yeah, basically. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, because that must be challenging as well, because you're a coach and you're meant to have it all figured out. But I'm sure you go
Mhm.
through challenges in your own life, and
Absolutely.
but I guess that's what makes you a better coach, because you can then empathize and relate with people.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, one of the most important things I've learned as a coach is that never hire a coach who hasn't gone through their own process. Never hire a coach who hasn't actually gone and pulled themselves out of their own muck, right? And gotten themselves through their own struggle. Because nobody comes into the world without some sort of struggle. I mean, we're literally born through struggle, through the birth canal.
Mhm.
um, and so practice what you preach. I mean, it sounds passe, but it's about embodiment. It's about really having done the work yourself. And any coach who says that they've just figured it all out and they know everything and they're like superhuman is not somebody you want to consider. I mean, in my opinion, because
Mhm.
nobody's superhuman. I mean, we're all super capable. We're all super aware if we give ourselves permission, but we're all human too. And there will always be setbacks. There will always be things we're not quite ready for, things we didn't know about, but if we have the tools and the techniques and we do the practice and we show up, then we have the bigger capacity to actually move through whatever that is that comes for it, for us, in
And
front of us.
you help people tame their inner critic, right? How do you
Mhm.
how what are the tips that you give people to tame their inner critic?
Well, I do have a workshop where I go into detail about the
Mhm.
4 main steps, that I work with my clients on. I detailed them a little bit earlier, kind of touched on them earlier. A lot of it is doing the inner work, just kind of checking in with your body, checking in with your little boy or little girl, asking them what they need, um, giving yourself permission to be frail, right, and vulnerable. Ask for what you need. But if you wanted to go deeper, my workshop is going to be coming forward pretty regularly. I'm actually going to be doing December 19th, I believe, is my next workshop that
In
I'll be hosting
California?
on Zoom. Yeah, it's on Zoom.
It's on Zoom.
So,
Okay, okay.
yep,
So anyone,
I'll be doing regular workshops in the 2024
okay,
season.
so people can
Yeah.
benefit wherever they are in the world from
Yes,
your coaching and client. Okay,
absolutely.
excellent. So where can people find out more information about you, Teresa, if they wanted to connect or learn from you? You've got some really good content online as well that you share.
Yeah, I
So
mean, I have an Instagram page, breakthroughwellnesscoaching.com, breakthrough with a U, trying to keep it trendy. breakthroughwellnesscoaching.com, and you can always friend me on Facebook. I'm always happy to accept friend requests from anybody who is interested in my work.
amazing. Teresa Papadopoulos, thank you so much for your time, and
Thank
really
you.
can vouch for Teresa. She's really the top tier, one of the best coaches in the world that you can see for this. And if you're, especially women looking at this, but I think it's men as well, but
Yeah.
getting out of this, whether it's losing weight, anxiety, stress, she can help you through that, and she can help you from wherever you are in the world, because it's all online as well now. Or if you're in the Bay Area, look her up. Okay. Thanks, Teresa.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Amir.